What's up, everybody? Matty LeMay from Facebook, 5Gen4R from Instagram, and Project Abate from YouTube. Super excited today because I've been driving around like a hood rat for the last 3 weeks. As you can see, I have an Auxbeam 8-switch panel that I have wired up to my 4Runner, and it's just been sitting on my dash like this as I've awaited for an OE panel, and today I got it in the mail. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to take this current panel off the 4Runner, what modifications need to be made, and how you go about installing this so that instead of driving like a hood rat like myself, you can have your Auxbeam, your Switch Pro, or your S-Pod mounted right here. That way it's neat, there's no wires hanging, and it's not in your way. So stay tuned and I'll show you guys all the steps. Okay, so as I told you guys, I have an Auxbeam 8-gang switch panel. It is currently wired up. Right now it's just kind of hanging loose. So what I'm going to do is remove this trim piece right here, or panel. I told you guys I have an OE panel from oepanels.com, and essentially what it is, if you look at this, this cutout right here that they developed allows the Auxbeam to drop in. So these buttons will still be here, they'll just be on this new panel, and then the Auxbeam will be mounted above it in this spot right here. All right, so here's the new OE panel that is going to go in place of this one. The way to remove this one from your 4Runner, you take 2 fingers, stick it on the panel below it, so underneath this line between the steering wheel column, and then grab the left-hand side, and you're gonna pull. And what that's going to do is pop these pink plastic clips out, and that will allow you to put your hands underneath the top panel and do the same thing. So you're gonna pull, and it's gonna come out pretty easy. Next, what you're gonna wanna do is disconnect all the switches and buttons that are on this panel, which is just 2. Okay, so what I have done is I disconnected my Auxbeam 8-gang panel, and I ran the wire that was hanging down here up through here and out through the top. The reason why I did that is with this open, it's very easy to fish it through. It'll save me time later on. So the next step is, this is my factory panel. What you need to do is take your old panels, yellow clips, which just, I can't do it with one hand, but you essentially just pull them off, and then you're gonna put them back on the new panel that came in the mail. Then you're going to transfer all these buttons over, and again, very easy. There's usually like tabs that you're gonna push on with your thumb and index finger, and once you do that, it'll pop right out. So I'm gonna do that for these 2 as well, and I will show you once they're all disconnected. I'm just gonna cut the video because it's hard to do this one-handed. So this is the old panel. If you look closely, there's a large cutout and then 2 small cutouts. On the new panel, there's actually 3 small cutouts, the large cutout, and then the obviously switch panel hole. What I did was I connected the little yellow connectors. There's 6 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I did connect the mirror control. That is not an issue. And then the next thing you're gonna wanna do is carefully route your Auxbeam wire, making sure to not pinch it here. And the reason why I did that next was because you're gonna wanna screw it in place, okay? And there's, okay, screwdriver so I can point. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I know it's kind of hard to see, but those are the 4 mounting spots for the Auxbeam. You don't need to really mount it. I mean, it is in there snug, but I don't plan on taking this out anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and screw it in. And the reason why you don't put these buttons in yet is because if you put them in, they're going to get in the way of screwing them in. And then one last thing before I cut this video and screw them in. Again, your old panel has only one of these, your brightness control for your instrument cluster, and then your mirror control. With this new one, you're going to have an extra opening, so you're going to want to get one of these fillers from Toyota, or just find it on Amazon. I had one sitting in my glove box from when I installed my ditch lights, so I have that saved, which will be getting used now. So what I'm going to do is connect these 4 screws. I'm using the screws that Auxbeam provided. They are very small, but they are enough to secure this to the OE panel. So I'm going to do that now, and then I will come back and show you guys what's next. The 4 screws to the Auxbeam have been mounted. You don't need to over tighten them. They're not going anywhere. This is not going anywhere. This is just for, I guess, peace of mind and overall long-term security. So now what you're going to do is put your fillers in. I'm putting my fillers on the right-hand side. I'm going to keep my brightness control on the left next to the mirror control. And then if I ever decide to add anything else here, like a USB, I can do that. The brightness control, just make sure it's facing upright like so. And then same thing, just push it in until you hear it click. So now everything is mounted, everything's ready to go. The last thing you have to do before you can connect the wires and push it in is this piece right here. If you look closely, the Auxbeam is now in this way. Whereas on the traditional panel, there's a huge gap. And what that gap allowed was a little stabilizing piece here for that to fit in place. You don't need that anymore, and you actually need to cut this out. So I'm gonna just take a knife and cut it out. I could use my multi-tool, but I'm just gonna use a knife and cut it out. So I'll show you what that looks like once I'm done cutting it. All right, guys, that piece has been removed from here. It's nice and clean. I really wanted to make sure that I didn't scratch this in case I decided to take this like little decal overlay off, because you will maybe see the seam. But it's pretty clean, I'm not gonna lie. It took a minute. I did scuff up some other areas with the knife, but all in all, it's good. So last thing I'm gonna do is just zip tie this to these, and then maybe put a zip tie around this because it is pretty long and I don't want it hanging off the bottom. All right, I added 1 zip tie right there to hold the Auxbeam to the factory wiring. That way it's not gonna fall to the bottom. I already connected the Auxbeam panel to the wire, lining up the arrows. One here, and then tightening it. And then the next thing to do is just connect the brightness control and then the power mirrors to the wiring. A little difficult to see, but everything is now connected. You got the power mirrors and the brightness control for the instrument cluster, and then the Auxbeam cable that I've tucked down here. Last thing you want to do is just make sure that none of those are in the way before you go ahead and push this in place. And then now that it's lined up, just gonna push it firmly until you hear it pop, and then same with the bottom. And that is that. Everything is still connected. That doesn't work because the key's not in, so I'll put my key into the car and then show you that it works. All right, so this is the finished product. You have my amber lights in the front of the car that you can see. Then I have fog lights. You probably can't see it, but it's the daytime running lights for the fog lights. And then my camera up on the windshield. So that's how it looks. I'll show you the front real quick. So I have the Fang lights, the Raptor lights, and the fog lights all on right now. And then the camera that records in the front as well as the rear of the vehicle. Kind of hard to see it, but it's right there. So there you have it, guys. That is how you take your OEM panel out of your 4Runner and how you install an OE panel that allows you to either use your Switch Pro 9100, your Auxbeam 8-gang, or your S-Pod for your 4Runner. I hope this video helps, and if anybody has any questions or comments, please drop them down below in the YouTube video or send me a message or comment on Instagram. Hope to see you guys on the next video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Take care, guys.